Okay, hey, welcome to the A.E.Mackintosh channel. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys are looking after yourselves out there. I thought it'd be good to have a bit of a catch up. There's a few things I wanted to talk about on the channel. There's so many videos I want to make, so many things I want to talk about, and I never seem to get round to it. So I've had this great idea of starting a podcast as well. I say I've had this great idea like I'm the first person ever to have this idea, but I thought I'd give podcasting a go, because often what I do on the YouTube channel is it's mostly about tools that I'm using, jobs that I'm doing, and that kind of thing. So the idea of the podcast is it can be more kind of extended trade chat. So that's what I was hoping to do. And I even put it out on my Instagram the other day just to kind of test out, get some feedback, and I got a really great response from people. So if that was one of you, thanks for the response, thanks for all the suggestions. So we're going to give it a go, and I'm going to give it a shout out. I'll give everyone a shout out at the end. Another thing I really wanted to do with the podcast is to try and promote that sense of community within the industry, kind of supporting each other and helping each other out. So there's a lot of kind of business tips and trade tips that I wanted to talk about as well, and I thought the podcast would be a really good place to do that. So it'd be really great to be able to kind of answer some of your questions. I'm hoping to get maybe interviews, industry experts in to talk about things. I don't want the podcast to be all about me and all about what I'm doing. The whole point of it really is to be about you and helping each other out in the industry. The first podcast though seems like a good place to talk about my journey, how I started, the point I'm at now. So I'll just talk a little bit about how my business is working now, and also my YouTube journey. I want to talk about a little bit about how my YouTube channel's grown, some of the things I'm doing on my channel, and also why have I got an LED light in my garage. So we'll talk about all of these things. The theory is that a lot of window cleaners listen to headphones while they're working, and maybe you can pick up some tips from my experience as well as I share my experience over the years, and we'll try and make it as interactive as possible. That would be really great. The idea will be that if there is a subject that I talk about on YouTube, what I often try and do is cut it and edit it so that the information is as condensed as I can. What will happen in my podcast is it'll be more extended chat. There will always be additional material on my podcast, and hopefully you'll enjoy listening to it as you're working. It's really great to hear that other people benefit from the channel, and it helps them out as well, because when I first started we didn't have any of that. There wasn't any of that support out there. I started window cleaning all the way back when I was still at school. It's 25 years ago now. I can't believe it. I don't know where the time's gone. It's crazy. But when I went on to college, I was working part-time more and more cleaning windows, and I got my first car. I started driving, my first roof rack, I got my first set of ladders, and I started building up my own window cleaning round straight away. I was still working with other window cleaners as well. I learned different things off different window cleaners, and straight away I noticed how everyone had a slightly different way of doing things, and certain things I'd been taught, I'd go and work with someone else and they'd say, well, why are you doing it like that? You need to be doing it like this. And I'd be like, okay, fair enough, we'll try it your way while I'm working with you. And that's how it went. That's how I learned, and I think that stuck with me right through till now. That's something I try and achieve on my channel, is that I try not to be too forceful about saying this is how you have to do it, this is how I do it, so this is how you should do it. But very often, especially if I'm featuring a product or a technique, hopefully it helps you make an informed choice. That's the idea of it really, so that you can see how I'm doing it, and if you want to do it the same way you can. If you don't, then you can decide to do it a slightly different way. I mean, that's okay with me. And that's the beauty of having your own business sometimes, is you can do things your own way to achieve that end result. And I've done a lot through trial and error. I've learned a lot along the way about business, about handling customers, looking after customers, building a reputation. So that's what I'm really excited, is kind of sharing all these things. Because if I started again now, I definitely do things differently with all the knowledge that I've gained and the experience. So it'd be really good to share some of those things to get some ideas going back and forth with you as well. One of the most important things I think I ever learned right at the beginning was the first window cleaner I worked with said never turn down a cup of tea. And I think that's so important. That's the biggest lesson I've ever learned that stuck with me through all this time. And it's not just for the tea, for the refreshment, but I think it's a lesson there in listening to the customer, engaging with the customer, building that relationship with the customer. That's really helped me all this time. Because you get that relationship with the customer, and if you look after them, they'll look after you. And I've been through recessions, COVID recently, and the customers they don't want to let you down in the same way that I don't want to let them down. And I like doing different things. I've always wanted to get variety into my work and what I do every day. So I've enjoyed doing. I enjoy getting up in the morning, and every day there's a different challenge. Every day I'm using a different piece of equipment maybe, and that whole perspective has really grown into what I've been doing on my YouTube channel. YouTube's been a really crazy journey basically from when I first started doing that 5 or 6 years ago now. So I've always been kind of a bit technically minded. I've always liked recording things, I don't know, capturing a moment in time, moving pictures. So audio, and I've always loved music as well. So that's always been a thing. So what I realised in my business was, I think it was when I started pressure washing. Obviously, I spent a bit of money on pressure washing equipment, and I really wanted to make that work, and I realised I had to get in a bit of work to make the pressure washing thing work. So the first couple of pressure washing jobs, I took loads of pictures, before and after pictures. I printed them out on my own computer and created a bit of a folder. So any customers from then on, I could show them the pictures, go, look, this is what I can achieve, this is what I can do. And I couldn't believe the response, negative response from people I was showing this folder to. I mean, long-standing customers that I had a relationship with, I'd then go, oh, look, I'll show you some of these pictures. And you could see their faces glaze over and shut off. I was really shocked at first because, these were pictures I was proud of. So, look at this look what I can achieve. This is brilliant. But they did. I think it was that pressurized kind of sales pitch. They felt like they were getting a pressurized sales pitch, really. And that was the difficulty. So that's what sparked the idea to create videos. I'd put together a DIY website, and I wanted to create videos to show off the services that I offered. And I thought that was much better because customers could then go and look at that in their own way, in their own time. Then people would ring me, and they'd already seen the service, they'd seen the results through the videos that I'd put together, and I was picking up work that way. So that works really well, and that sparked off the YouTube channel really. One thing I always try and do on my YouTube channel is to share tips and advice. So even if it is a video that's featuring a product, I always try and put in tips and advice in there from my own experience. How am I going to get this clean? So I hope it's beneficial, and I hope people out there find it useful, because the reason I do it is because I know how lonely it can be. I know how tough it can be starting out. I know when you're trying to pick up work, you can't just spend hundreds of pounds on advertising if it's not going to work, if it's not going to bring in work, because you have got a tight budget. Those few £100 to spend on advertising is a big deal when you're a sole trader and you're trying to build up a business from nothing. So I understand that. And I know what it's like when you want to branch out into another service, but you can't just spend a couple of £1,000s on equipment if you're not going to bring in work for that additional service. So I know what those decisions are like, and I know how tough it can be making those decisions. So I always hope that my YouTube channel can help people out there make an informed decision on whether to get into another service, whether to buy that piece of equipment, or how to go about tips and advice on executing an excellent job. I mean, that's the idea, helping people out. So it's really great to hear when people do benefit from the channel, and they're benefiting, their own businesses are benefiting. And that's where the kind of the idea of the training has come from, is that kind of idea of sharing my advice over the years. And I've had different people working with me over the years as well, and they all seem to go off and start their own businesses, and then I'm left, I need someone else to come and help me again. So the more I speak to people now as well, coming from other industries, I realise that some people coming from other industries are used to training. Businesses will invest in their employees, offering them training on a regular basis, because they realise that will ultimately benefit the business as a whole. But us in window cleaning or exterior cleaning, we don't seem to recognise that in quite the same way. And the more I speak to people from other industries, I realise that there's a lot of things that we can apply in an exterior cleaning business that can actually benefit the business. And so that's some of the things I've put into my training. So business people, for example, come out with these kind of flashy phrases sometimes, and you wonder, what do they mean? So one phrase that sticks in my mind that I particularly like actually is business people talk about systems and processes. Now, you're probably doing this already to a degree, but you don't realise that you're putting in place systems and processes as a business person might talk about it. But for example, if you're cleaning a gutter or fascia, you put a process in place so that you've got a method of cleaning it. And if you put in that set method that you know works 90% of the time, then you know you're going to get a good result. And so what that actually means then is that you know how long it's going to take, because that process, you know that set process is going to take a certain amount of time. Because it takes a certain amount of time, that helps you a lot when you come to give the quote. So you know how much you want to charge for that amount of time's work. You know how much materials you're going to need. If there's cleaning solution, you know what tools you're going to need. So just twigging that for all the different services that I provide, I think that's been made a big difference to my business. And that's something I'm doing to try and help people in my training, is really helping them put those things in place. So what tools they're going to need, how much to quote, exactly the process for each job, how they're going to carry out the job. So in essence, I guess that's what I'm doing in my training, is helping people through those things. So ever since I first mentioned it in January, the last 6 months, I've had training sessions organised nearly every week. So basically I spend a day a week at home now, doing things like that, training sessions, putting together videos as well. Actually, after all this time kind of out on the tools, I just really enjoy having a day kind of sitting down and helping other people out. Is really good. So obviously trying to balance my window cleaning round, some of the other things I've been doing has been a bit difficult. So over the last couple of years, I've gradually been selling bits of my round off so that I can do these other things that I've been exploring. And I just really enjoy the variety. I really enjoy trying different things. And the podcast is just another challenge. So I'm looking forward to more chat, getting some more interaction with you guys out there, getting those things out on the podcast. It'll be really good to try and get industry professionals involved as well, get some tips and advice from other professionals in the industry. That would be really good. So we'll see how it goes. I think the podcast will probably develop and change over time, but I really be keen to get your comments, and we'll try and take things from there. We'll see how it goes. So what's the LED sign about? Why have I got an LED sign in the garage? One thing that I've always found really important in my business is to look as professional as I can, and I've gradually over time invested time and effort into a website, into uniform, my van, putting forward a professional image. And I suppose this is kind of part of that. I wanted to use this space as a place I can lay out tools and equipment, do tool comparisons, and do informative videos as well. Or maybe I just got a bit carried away looking at things I could do with my logo on the internet. So I did get a bit carried away. But thanks for watching. As always, really appreciate you watching and appreciate your input. And I hope you enjoy. Don't forget, if you want to get in touch, if you've got a suggestion for the podcast, it'd be good to hear from you. and we'll catch up with you guys again very soon.